They didn't think of it as avoidance. That would have suggested there was something to avoid. It felt more like momentum, like staying in motion, like making use of time. Their days were full, not chaotic, just occupied. Tasks lined up neatly, messages answered quickly, plans made without much hesitation. There was always something next. Being busy felt responsible. It looked like progress. It sounded like commitment. It was often praised. People admired how much they managed to fit in. Stillness, on the other hand, felt uncomfortable. It created space, and space had a way of asking questions they weren't prepared to answer. Questions without clear solutions, questions that didn't fit neatly into schedules, so they stayed busy instead. Moments without noise felt exposed. Unstructured time felt wasteful, so they filled it. If a quiet moment appeared, they reached for something, a screen, a list, another task that could be checked off. Nothing urgent, just enough to keep moving. Busyness became the default. It filled the edges of the day, early mornings, late evenings, the moments in between moments. There was always something that could be improved, optimized, or completed, and finishing things felt safer than wondering why they were doing them. Not because it was necessary, but because it was available. It required no decisions, no reflection, only participation. They rarely asked what any of it was leading toward. There wasn't time. And besides, things were getting done. That had to count for something. Over time, rest started to feel undeserved. Pausing felt indulgent, unproductive. Even enjoyment began to feel like something that needed justification. They told themselves they would slow down later, when things settled, when the workload eased, when there was a clearer reason to stop. Later always felt close, just not now. The days passed quickly. Speed became normal, not rushed, not frantic, just fast enough that nothing lingered. Conversations ended before they deepened. Thoughts dissolved before they fully formed. There was always another task waiting, ready to take its place. Not in a blur, but in a series of small, completed moments. Each one tidy, each one forgettable. Every now and then, a question surfaced. What was all of this for? It never stayed long. There was always another message, another obligation, another reason to stay occupied. Busyness kept things quiet, not calm, just quiet enough. It left no space for uncertainty to linger, no room for dissatisfaction to take shape. The unexpected part wasn't exhaustion. They managed that well. The unexpected part was the distance. Distance built quietly. Not enough to notice at first, just enough to feel slightly misaligned, like living efficiently inside a life that no longer felt personal, from their own thoughts, from the future they rarely pictured, from the reasons they once cared about. They hadn't stopped moving, but they hadn't arrived anywhere either. Life felt full, full of motion, full of noise, full of things that required attention, but not full of meaning. That part was harder to measure and easier to postpone, but not expansive, productive, but strangely unchanged. They weren't unhappy, they were just occupied. Occupied enough that nothing felt urgent, including themselves. This story isn't about working too much. It's about using motion as a substitute for direction. Because staying busy can feel like progress, and sometimes the most unexpected outcomes come from filling every moment. so nothing has to be faced.